He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. It's a massive day for sports, and I say sports and not just Indian sports, because nowhere does it say that it is possible for a 17-year-old to beat grandmasters who are much older and more astute than himself to win a prestigious title. Gukesh is a step closer to becoming the best in the world as he gears up to take on Ding Liren for the world chess title. I'll show what sets him apart from the rest, what is so special about Gukesh. But also on the show, some shocking revelations. China's sporting system under the scanner after reports come out of 23 of their Olympic swimmers being allowed to participate in Tokyo despite testing positive for a banned substance leading up to it. And was Barcelona robbed of a goal? The biggest talking point from the El Clasico last night. But first, Sports 360. We'll start with cricket. Gujarat beat Punjab by 3 wickets in a low-scoring affair at the T20 League in India. Punjab were bowled out for 142 in their 20 overs. Gujarat, of course, chased that down with 5 balls to spare. Earlier, Kolkata beat Bengaluru as well in a high-scoring affair. In Formula 1, it was yet another dominant display by Red Bull at the Chinese Grand Prix. Their star racer and 3-time world champion Max Verstappen cruised to victory. This is his 4th Grand Prix title this season. McLaren's Lando Norris came second, his first ever podium finish, while Red Bull's Sergio Perez finished 3rd. In football, Manchester United survived a scare from Coventry City in the second FA Cup semi-final. Coventry City came back from being 3-0 down to level scores and forced the game to extra time. Rasmus Højlund scored the decisive penalty kick. United defeated Coventry 4-2 on penalties. Over in tennis, Casper Ruud clinched the Barcelona men's singles title. Ruud beat Stefanos Tsitsipas 7-5, 6-3 in the final. This ended Tsitsipas' 10-match winning streak on clay. Over in baseball, Los Angeles Dodgers player Shohei Ohtani, who's been in the news for all the wrong reasons, has created another record in the Major League history. During the game against New York Mets, Ohtani surpassed Hideki Matsui for most home runs by a Japanese player at the league. This was Ohtani's 176th home run in the competition. All right, I don't know what's a bigger headline. The world saw the youngest ever to win the prestigious Chess Candidates Tournament, featuring the top 8 in the world. At 17, a boy stunned a world of grandmasters. An Indian teenager broke all the odds and came out triumphant, despite the best in the world saying he had no chance. Gukesh did the unthinkable by what the world thought. Would you believe if I said his trainer, mentor and guide Vishnu Prasanna says winning the chess candidates was not unthinkable for Gukesh. The prodigy had been wanting to do this since he was 10 years old. I know what you all say, everyone can dream, but not every dream turns into reality. But that's where Gukesh is different. He dreams of becoming #1 every day since the time he took up chess and has been working towards that every single day from that point. It's a quest, the only quest Gukesh has been working towards, to be the best, to be world #1. Candidates is just one piece of the entire picture for Gukesh. And then, of course, you'd say, sure, this is a great achievement, but let's see how far he can go. Maybe this is a one-off. And I can tell you now, winning candidates was no fluke, no flash in the pan, no one-time wonder. This is serious, and Gukesh means business. And I'll give you reasons why. First, the format itself. Candidates is one of the most intense and grueling tournaments in the world of chess, designed to truly decide who's the best. Because it's not easy for one to be at his or her best consistently through days of face-offs. So what's the format? It's a round-robin format where each player plays each of the rest twice, one with white pieces, the other with black. So it is designed in a manner where you can easily suss out who the front runner would be and weed out the rest. It's a brilliant format to judge comparatively who can be the most clinical, the most consistent, the most shrewd and most calm under pressure to emerge victorious. Now, what's the other reason? Gukesh sets himself apart from the rest. The only way to win is to be different. The only way to beat that is to take some serious risks. That's the only way to a big reward. With Gukesh, it was the way he trained. There are chess engines that many train against. The idea is to try and match wits against one who is logically faster than any human, calculates and plays the best possible move that you are now supposed to counter. So it's a way of toughening you up and training you to counter the best move every single time. But here's the thing, that's not how Gukesh trained. He trained without engines for a long period of time, a decision taken by one of his trainers, whom I had mentioned at the start. It was a risk, no one does this. But they believed this could be the best way to learn and grow. And there was conviction. They worked together at it, and now if you think about it, it works. Because players don't play bots in real life, at least not just yet. You play a human with emotions, with feelings. A human who feels pressure, who could make a different move to that of an engine under certain circumstances. And that's the only way you can learn to react and then mold your own game to elicit a false move from your opponent. The best way to learn? Well, Gukesh certainly has proved so. But it's not just his training, is it? At 17, he just sounds different.
The main thing was that I was just in a right mindset throughout the event. From the start to the end, I was in good spirits and I was fully motivated, and I really wanted to win the event. And yeah, when all these things come together, also it was helpful that I was sharp enough chess-wise, and I managed to play some good chess. But yeah, I would say mainly my mental attitude in this tournament was very, very good.
He nails it, the mental aspect of it. He shows maturity, composure, great calmness on the face of it. Even though his father on the sidelines, who has no background in chess, but has been touring with him by his side all the way, was the most tense person out there. There was a clip online right after that long draw that Fabiano Caruana and Nepomniachtchi played out, which declared Gukesh as the winner. And he makes his way, Gukesh makes his way outside and back to the hotel, where he's thronged by his new fans, followers, and people screaming out his name. He smiles, puts his head down and walks on, stops only to check whether his father has caught up and is by his side. And as he makes his way to the first ever interaction with FIDE right after the win, the videographer asks Gukesh's dad how he feels, and he says, proud, and under his breath, I'm relieved. The response of someone clearly wrought with nerves. What else sets him apart though? Gukesh, his maturity, his demeanor, and that picture of him moving about with his father, Rajnikant, in tow. Very similar to one other prodigious genius who used to travel everywhere with his own father, Henrik Albert Carlsen. And of course, speaking of Magnus, the same Carlsen who had said that he'd be surprised if an Indian won this thing. He was humbled enough by this historic achievement to praise Gukesh, the man Carlsen said was least likely to go all the way.
I love what Gukesh has done. It's something I haven't seen before. Gukesh is probably a bit stronger than myself and others realized. The thing about Gukesh is that he can look really vulnerable at times. Then he's also not very good at speed chess. That can confuse, and he's not as high profile as some of the other youngsters, which is confusing. But he's proven in this tournament that he's very strong.
Well, it's ironical that Carlsen would say all of this because the world thought the very same things when Carlsen burst onto the scene as a 13-year-old. So what makes Gukesh separate, different? Now, I mentioned his father being tense just a while back, no one giving him a chance. Gukesh, in fact, just scraping through to make it to the candidates. But in Gukesh, you could see none of that. No tension, no emotions, largely apart from that one point in the tournament. Maybe we saw that just once when he put his head on the table after he lost to the same player he ended up beating last night, Alireza Firouzja, in the 7th round. That was a picture that probably, for me, was the turning point, from where he only went one way. Seeing the way he spoke after the win, signing the autographs, the stardom, it sits well on him. He was just as calm and composed signing autographs as he would be making a move on the chessboard under all that pressure, not perturbed or in awe of the moment. What this win says is we don't just have one now. We have many Indians leading the way in chess after Pragyananda and his sister Vaishali, who created history at the candidates and made a splash last year. Gukesh's grit is making all the right noises in 2024. The El Clásico, Spanish term that translates to the classic, a name that is given to the football contest between rival clubs Barcelona and Real Madrid. Lots at stake when these two sides clash. The two teams were going through different emotions though when they stepped onto the field. Real Madrid were high on that win over Manchester City in the Champions League. Barcelona were coming in on the back of getting knocked out of the Champions League. And even in here, the two clubs had different agendas. Madrid were aiming to increase that gap between themselves and Barcelona, whereas Barcelona were aiming to stay in the hunt for the La Liga. And we saw a high-scoring thriller at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid clinching the thriller. With this, Madrid has taken a decisive step towards lifting the La Liga. With 6 games left in the season, table toppers Real Madrid are now 11 points ahead of second-placed Barcelona. I'm not going to talk about the tactics or what went wrong. The biggest talking point coming out of this showdown was one goal. One goal that could have made the difference, especially if that goal had been allowed in Barcelona's favour. In the 28th minute of the match, Barcelona were denied a goal. Lamine Yamal's goal was disallowed by the video assistant referee, or the VAR, the point of contention now for a while here in football. The match was paused for several minutes. VAR tried determining whether the ball had crossed the goal line. But after several replays, VAR couldn't find a clear camera angle to allow the goal. Barcelona manager Javi was fuming over the issue.
Mi sensación hoy es de injusticia máxima, es decir,
My feeling is that today it has been totally unfair, and everybody has seen it. The match has not been fair. It has been unfair. That's my feeling, and I cannot lie, especially to our fans. Today it has been unfair, and everybody has seen what happened today. Yesterday, you also asked me about the referee, and I told you that I wanted him to be unnoticed and him to take the right decisions. So, he failed in both. It is a pity. What can I say? It is a reality, and it is something we should speak about. It is something to be ashamed of.
The disallowed goal raised the question of Spanish League not having the goal line technology. If they had it, it would have been easier to identify whether the ball had crossed the line or not, and it wouldn't have raised the speculations of whether that was a goal or not. In fact, the International Football Federation, or the FIFA, claims that the goal line technology can let the referee know within seconds whether the ball actually crossed the line. It uses 14 different camera angles to come up with a clear, possibly correct decision. But since the technology is so advanced, it costs a lot of money too. It requires $3.2 million to install the whole system. And Spanish League President Javier Tebas has been resolute in his intention of not acceding to this technology. He's been unwilling to pay that amount, but that's left La Liga as the only league out of the top 5 European leagues to not have this technology in place. It is disappointing that the biggest footballing battle was affected by the lack of these facilities, prompting Barcelona's goalkeeper Ter Stegen to label La Liga as an embarrassing league.
It's a shame that they don't find an angle to check the goal. I don't have words to describe it. They have a lot of money, but not for the most important things.
It's unfortunate. Spanish League, a league with so much history, most success in the European League, in fact, and boasting of clubs with so much fan following, doesn't have the intention or the money to spend on this technology. No wonder players are furious, because the time the goal was disallowed, Barcelona and Real Madrid were level on 1-1. The goal, had it gone in Barcelona's favour, would have given them that edge then. And in the 69th minute as well, Barcelona scored. So the 28th minute goal had stood, Barcelona would have been leading 3-1. And who knows, with a 2-goal difference and an advantage, how the match would have panned out. It might have been impossible for Madrid to make a comeback, but of course these are ifs and buts, because on the night Barcelona had the better ball position, had more aimed shots. Add that goal to this and who knows. Barcelona could have had that psychological advantage. And that 11-point difference between the two clubs could have reduced to just 5. Had Barcelona won the game, a realistic difference that could have changed Barcelona's goalpost when it comes to winning the La Liga title. But like I said, ifs and buts. Something to think about though for the Spanish football authorities. They need to ask themselves, is spending a little money on getting a foolproof system and improving the results or judgments in a game a better payoff, especially when winning a title is on the line? China finds itself in a sporting tussle once again. Amid the pool of issues surrounding the nation, a new controversy has emerged, shaking up the Chinese sporting system once more. So what's the latest to hit the nations? Reports have now emerged that of a shocking incident that happened leading up to the Tokyo Olympics. That 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for a banned drug ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. Now here's the clincher. Despite testing positive, the swimmers were allowed to participate in the games, and guess what? Majority of the players that tested positive went on to win medals, which includes 3 golds. Now what was the substance that was found? It was banned drug called trimethazidine. It's a drug usually found in heart medications. Basically, it helps metabolize fatty acids that in turn help your body use oxygen. The drug allows for more blood to flow to the heart and limits quick changes in your blood pressure, a very important mechanism that would help swimmers perform better. So who allowed them to participate despite this offense? It was WADA itself, World Anti-Doping Agency, the governing sports. WADA was apparently aware about the doping strike against these Chinese swimmers, but it decided not to intervene after accepting China's explanation. What was the explanation that China gave to wriggle out of this? China said that the swimmers had ingested the banned substance unwittingly, and it happened because of substance contamination. They convinced WADA that there was no foul play intended here, that the drug appearing in the results was due to contamination alone in food that had been consumed. WADA promptly accepted China's reasoning and agreed it was due to substance contamination alone, hence wiving off the offense and letting them participate in the Tokyo Games. WADA is clearly also caught in this firing line.
We are equally confident that WADA's Independent Intelligence and Investigations Department followed up on all allegations received, which were not corroborated by any evidence, and thus did not meet the threshold to open an investigation.
Basically, they still stand firm by the decision they took back then. So it's a little odd. Let's say WADA's stance is correct. They might not have found the exact evidences, but how could the body allow the participation of these athletes nevertheless? Despite the substance being found in their bloodstreams, it's like when intruders are arrested by the police and their defense is they did not know it was not their house that they were entering. WADA is that unknown cop here and China the intruders. How can WADA agree to China's findings and remain silent as a governing body? WADA's primary role is to stop such acts and prevent sportspersons and countries from doping. Reports also say that other national and international anti-doping officials provided WADA insights pointing to a possible cover-up by Chinese authorities in this matter. So when everything was alluding to a more significant offense at play, why didn't WADA act on it? And there's more. While the names of the 23 swimmers have not been disclosed anywhere, a majority of China's swimming contingent that went on to participate in the Tokyo Olympics some years ago are still very active in China. In fact, many of whom are also set to take part in the Paris Olympics that's scheduled in a couple of months now, including one of the gold medalists from the infamous Tokyo Games, Zhang Yufei. Now, I'm not saying she could be one of the 23. The names have not been revealed, but the fact that many of the supposed tainted swimmers will be there at the Games has clearly enraged the sporting world. US Anti-Doping Agency's Chief Executive Officer, Travis Tigard, has now openly slammed China. Ever since 2020, Tigard claims that he has been providing WADA with his reports on a possible doping scandal in the country.
This appears to be a devastating stab in the back of clean athletes and a deep betrayal of all the athletes who compete fairly and follow the rules. All of those with dirty hands in burying these positives and suppressing the voices of courageous whistleblowers must be held accountable to the fullest extent of the rules and law.
Now, his anger is understandable, going by what everyone has been witnessing in the past. And I'm referring to China's history in swimming, especially when it comes to doping. Sure, Chinese athletes are serious gold medal contenders when it comes to the Olympics, but that legacy, especially when it comes to swimming, is quite tainted. During the period of 1990 and 1998, Chinese swimmers tested positive for using performance-enhancing drugs across various competitions like the Asian Games in Hiroshima and the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. In 1998, in fact, China's swimmer Wen Wen was banned. Her ban was imposed after Australia's customs officer found somatotropin, or human growth hormone, in her bags. And while the world is coming down hard on China for this, there is one voice, though, supporting the athletes. It's their Australian coach, Dennis Cotterell, who is helping them prepare for the Paris Olympics.
I'm happy to say I'm absolutely in support of my swimmers and dispute any suggestion of anything orchestrated. I feel for the athletes here because of how hard they work now to eliminate the tag that was garnered in the 90s. People who come to China know that contamination is an issue. It unfortunately allows that doubt to come out and to surface. I can't prove anything, I just know the truth.
Now, Cotterell may have faith in the current Chinese swimmers, of course, by the looks of it, but it feels like history is repeating itself again. Cotterell, who in fact coached Sun Yang, a triple Olympic champion, he was banned for taking the very same substance that has come under the radar now, trimetazidine. The incident occurred in 2014, and back then Yang was banned for 3 months. But Yang is currently serving another ban, a 4-year ban for another doping violation, in a long saga where judges found him to have acted recklessly when he refused to let anti-doping authorities leave his home with a blood sample. The ban was imposed before the Tokyo Olympics, which ruled Yang out of the 2020 Olympics. That ban is set to lift just in time for the Paris Games. And here's the thing, this is the third such instance of China and sporting controversy in just over a month. A few days back alone, we saw a rigged half marathon by China, where Chinese athlete He Jia was deliberately allowed to win by his competitors. Investigations, of course, showed the others allowed the Chinese runner to win. Of course, organizers were forced to respond after being pulled up and the winners stripped of their prize money and medals. And of course, last month, former head of China Football Association, Shen Si-huan, was given life imprisonment for bribery. The episode, of course, ending a long saga of corruption rampant in Chinese football. When will this end? When will the lack of transparency and the blatant disregard for rules governing the sport end in China is the question. Or rather, when it comes to sporting misgovernance, when will this end in the country? Now, time for last serve. In less than 100 days, of course, the city of Paris will transform. It will be hosting more than 1,000 athletes from the world over as the Olympics kickstart there. And as the big day approaches, the city is, of course, giving glimpses of how the mega event will look. Take a look at these breathtaking visuals of the venues shaping up. Stunning visuals there. Of course, Paris Olympics organizers doing their bit to make sure at least this looks good and things set off quite smoothly. But that does it here on First Sports. Thanks for joining in. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care.